Hey, everybody. I hope this video or live stream, give me 1 second here. I hope this video or live stream finds you doing well. So, a couple of weeks ago, I was wanting to do a video, and the person that I'm going to be talking about, I did get their permission to talk about them and what they said. I don't think I know what they said verbatim, but I have it in the neighborhood parking lot, and I think that'll be good enough. I have said in the past, I've never seen God work like this in my life. And I want to, or it was something in that neighborhood. But anyhow, something was said and it had people wondering if I was doubting my salvation. For the past 3 years, I've had little doubt about my salvation. Some, but, you know, not a whole lot. Especially not like what I did when I was a Christian. So, then we have to ask ourselves, well, if I wasn't talking about our salvation, what have I been talking about? I can tell you that what I've said in the past is true, is that I am not a person of faith. I am a person who has walked in many miracles, extraordinarily huge miracles, such as having joint pain in my left knee, my right shoulder, my lower back, my neck, before I would walk behind the Torah scroll during the Torah service. About how one rabbi, Rabbi Bill, prayed for me, and I was, and my joint pain went away. I'm just and then how I came to my decision that in fact premarital sex is not a sin. I have had to have real tough, and I mean extraordinarily tough talks, first with God and within myself, because things were not adding up to me. And here it is. I've got this humongous, wonderful, holy, heavenly Father paying to someone who's nothing short of just a speck of dust on the earth compared to how many people there was, is, and will be on the earth. So it just puts me in complete awe of all what's going on. And so I have shared my experiences. I will continue to share my experiences. But the reason why I'm doing all this is because it's like finding the golden key to life. And it is amazing. I mean, this stuff that I have been experiencing is beyond amazing. It is just literally, there's just no other way to say it, except that I have been very surprised a lot in these past 3 years. I have done things thinking, oh, this will make me more popular, and it has, like the bar mitzvah, but it's also put a lot more responsibility on me, such as not lying about the 613 laws of which I am dedicated to. Now, that doesn't mean I keep them perfectly. It only means that I'm dedicated to them. And it has been flooring. And then I have been studying some of the past celebrities' lives, such as Michael Jackson, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash, I have done an in-depth study on because it was interesting to me. Here it is. You have a man who got into the music industry, then got into drugs, was at the lowest level possible, And then God healed him from the drug use. I find that very, very interesting, especially since I have experienced God in a very much different way. Hey, babe, how you doing? Yeah, you can stay right there. So I find this very, very interesting. And it's like, wow, you have got to be kidding me. So I'm going to scroll through a post. I know I put it up recently, and I'm going to be able to bring it up because there was something that I shared, and it was that I shared it last night. Um, it was a song from Stephen McWhirter and the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. Come, Jesus, come. And this is what I said, so I'll reread it. I am absolutely not saying this guy is wrong. During my normal day one Sunday through day six Friday morning prayers, I ask God to send our Messiah back down here. However, I do it knowing that he will come with judgment. The judgment will be harsh. For those who get through the judgment of Christ, it, it will not be saved by grace only, but it will be through grace and through the law. I know this because I'm currently living it. I have absolutely seen our Heavenly Father's grace through the law, and that is very, very factual. I have seen His grace through Christianity, and I should have put in other people's lives, and that is true. Johnny Cash absolutely being one of them. I don't know the reason that God uses both the law and Christianity in this period of time. I know that He does, and that is very, very true. So I have had to ask myself the tough questions. And if I do a heart to heart podcast, as I have thought about doing and I've written about it, I don't know that I would want to debate or to discuss anybody with an oppositional view. And here's why. To get to the conclusion I have had to ask myself and debate myself. And let me tell you something. Even if you ever see me debating someone else, believe me, I'm not nearly being as hard on them as I would in me. In the realm of theology, yeah, I'm going to be tough on them. Not like I would be with me, but I'm still going to be tough. And that I want to share my thought processes. Okay, so how? First of all, I want to know why do am I still who I am in intimate relationships, and that I've never been able to change. Have discussed in previous videos why. So I have this addiction, and God has shown me where I need to be a better human being, and I have absolutely made those changes. And yet, one thing that the physical intimacy stuff, God has never made a change. So I have to go back and I have to ask why. And here's the only two options that I can come up with is either A, premarital sex is not a sin, or God decided to create me to have himself a good time throwing me into hell because I have not been able to change that. So I've had to ask why. We're going through the bar mitzvah class. Nowhere in written Torah is it a strict commandment that you can only have sex within marriage. There is absolutely one type of sex that is absolutely forbidden. Um, and there is other types of sex that are forbidden. Um, so, okay, cool. Premarital sex is not on the list. So, how did Christians come up with this? Well, then we start heading for the New Testament. And we came up with the word fornication. Now, people like buzzwords, we'll just scare everybody with buzzwords. Let me tell you, I am a person with ironclad, and I mean ironclad nerves. I don't shake well. My boat does not get rattled. So, what was it? What was going on back in Paul's days? What was going on back in the days of Paul is strictly forbidden in Torah, which is temple prostitution. You had men dressing as women, women dressing as men dressing as men, women dressing as women, and they were having all kinds of sex in front of gods inside of what they called a temple. Temple prostitution. That meets the level. Cool. Now I can go back into I believe it's Judges or Joshua. Let me get a thing out of here. It's the next book. Whoops. It's the next book out of the Torah. And let me just see which book that would be. Joshua. So we have to go back to Joshua 1 and why was God willing to make a deal with a prostitute? We have our answers. She was living very unhealthy. No ifs, ands, and buts about that. But that she was living in unholiness, absolutely. But she wasn't living in sin. So then I have to reflect on my experiences. When Deborah and I got married, the truth was I was letting other people tell me who I am instead of me being who I am. This deep theological, philosophical investigation of myself absolutely should have been done at an earlier age. And if I could go back in time, I would have. I can also say that if I went back in time, could go back in time and know now what I didn't know then, I would have never married Deborah. Not because Deborah's a bad person. Deborah was never a bad person. She was a very loving, caring human being. It's just that there's no way she could have ever fully accepted me. Not really. And I know that. I know that beyond the fact. I would never proposed. I would have always stayed her friend. I would have been there every time she needed me. But there's no way in this world we would have ever gotten married because of who I am as a person, not because of her. So I could almost hear the theologian on the other side, you know, saying, let me let me rephrase this. Let me go back a little bit. If I was to debate someone who believes that premarital sex is a sin, I could hear him say, "Oh, go get counseling, and Jesus will help you through it." Well, and that's what I heard back in those days, and that's what I did. Didn't turn out so well for me. In fact, it turned out quite horrible, but I wasn't the only reason. However, that does not exonerate me from my part in what was going on. The fact of the matter is I have seen psychologists, I have opened up, and no one, not any of them, have been able to truly help me. They haven't. And well, Jesus never took away my addiction. So here I am stuck with it. So whenever a theologian or a pastor or anyone would say, well, Jesus helped you through it, I would have to call them out. I have to live in truth about me, saying, why didn't Jesus help me? I was going to see psychologists. I was asking God for help. Never got any help. And I want you guys to understand my will, my personality. I am a true type A personality. When I want something, I get it most of the time. I, back in May of 2011, was noticing the effect that smoking was having on my lungs. When I seen the effect that the cigarettes were having on my body, I went ahead and I bought nicotine lozenges. And I started with highest one, got myself down to the lowest one, and then that came that time I just had to quit. And I remember I was working for a company as a yard dog. I was moving trailers around at a company. I moved them in and out of the dock, and all would go well. Um, they had a drink machine there. One of the drinks were chicken noodle soup. I can promise you this. If they are listening now, there was a company in Akron, Ohio. I'm the one who drained the machine of the chicken soup. I'm it. And the reason why was because I was trying to get nicotine out of chicken soup. So, chicken noodle soup, not the noodles, I'm sorry, just the chicken soup became my addiction. They refilled the machine once. I took a good, nice little drink of that chicken soup that they had replaced. Whew, I tell you, that was the most horrible stuff I'd ever tasted in my life. Hopefully, I never have to do that again. So, um, I did. It was God through my type A personality that did stop me from smoking because God did create me to be a type A personality. So I always wanted to be a good Christian, and yet my type A personality was not working for me. It was literally working against me. And I know why. I will never discuss those reasons why. So, going back to where we were at originally, I've never seen God work in my life like He has now, like He has the past 3 years. So when Mark Moy says, hey, I know Granville's forever saved, I heard him preach when he was 16 years old. Mark is not at all wrong. He is not wrong at all. He is correct. It's just, I've never seen God work in my life. So just to let y'all know, the heart to heart talk will never go to theology because I know who I am. I would spout off everything, all the questions that I've asked myself. And the way I would ask it would be the way I ask myself. And I don't think that that would turn out too well. So if I do heart to heart, it would be towards politics only, not in theological areas where I and other people disagree. The one thing that I can also tell you is that I have to level with people about who I am as a person. And I have went out and done that. I do level with people. I like being honest with them so that they know who I am, so that they know who they're dealing with. They have a right to know. So when I say I've seen God's grace through the law, I have. And here's something that I would spout off to them because I don't believe it. I don't believe that God said, oh my goodness, I forgot to make premarital sex a sin. Well, I better go run and tell the Apostle Paul about all this. That never happened. If Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, it is absolutely because our Heavenly Father is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Never changing one iota. Never, oh, I need clarification. I just don't believe that. So now that we know about my salvation, yes, I know I'm going to go to heaven. Everything else I question. So, and the reason why I know that I'm going to heaven is because of what I believe, almost to the point of knowing that Christ said, if you deny me before men, I will deny you before my Father. If you confess me before men, I will confess you before my Father. I believe that's an actual covenant, and I believe that's actually factual. And I will never stop declaring that Christ, who I historically known as Yeshua, I will never stop declaring that he is the Son of God and the Messiah. I love you all. God bless.